Malynda Hale, actress, singer, activist, and more.
Yes, multi-hyphenate.
So many. I mean, you are just like a creative powerhouse. You use your voice in such profound ways. My goodness. It is such an honor to have you on. I have been looking forward to this talk for months, really.
Yeah.
And, in that time since I found you, found your account, found you, I've just had such a pleasure to get to know at least, the you that you share with the world through your podcast and your Instagram. And it is just, you are such a gift.
Oh, thank you.
You are such a gift.
That means a lot. Thank you so much.
If you could introduce yourself to the Mom Curious folks, and I'm sure there are your own fans who are popping on to hear this episode. If you would introduce yourself as you are today, that would be awesome.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Malynda Hale. I am a singer, actress, podcast host, activist, mom, wife, all the things. Originally from Santa Barbara, California. I live in Los Angeles now. I'm involved in probably way too many things. And every time I list them, people think I'm crazy, but I thrive when I'm busy. So yeah, being in the music industry, entertainment industry has always been my thing. I also run a music agency. I love giving opportunities to other people, but activism has really just been my passion and my heart for pretty much my whole life. I feel like I've been that advocate, that empathetic person that just can hear another person's story and want to help and want to be there for them. So turning my platform into a place to kind of hold space for a lot of people and have those conversations has just been something that is really important to me. And I've just used my music, even acting projects and things that I produce in my podcast as a way to continue important conversations and really give other people a platform.
You do it in such a beautiful way. And, something that you say in your bio is that you are, you're a faithful Christian, and that and much of your activism and maybe even your artistry is inspired by that. And I was just wondering if you wanted to share a little bit about
of course.
your faith and how it inspires your work.
Absolutely. I grew up in a progressive Christian household. Really more so my mom. My dad really wasn't like a churchgoer. He was like the Christmas, Easter Christian. But
sounds fun.
My mom was just such a she still is such a beautifully spirited person, but just growing up, like she was this woman that just taught us how to love. And I've never known anything else. And she was just such a great role model growing up. And I'm so glad now that like my daughter has such a great relationship with her and my dad, because I'm seeing her go back to that woman that raised me when I was younger. Because obviously when you're in your 20s and your 30s, like you come into your own and you realize things. But now seeing her with my daughter, I'm like, God, that's what I got. I'm so lucky I got that. And so with my faith, she just led with love. And that's what I've always learned. And I think that, religion and faith can get so complicated. But for me, just looking at how Jesus lived his life, I'm like, I'm going to try my best. I know it's really hard, but it really was as simple as just loving people and being there for them. So yeah, my music, the things that I write, what I talk about my podcast, obviously on my platform, I really try to always lead with love and understanding, because that makes for a better world first and foremost. But also I'm trying to stay true to what I said I was, and which is a Christian, and it's following what Jesus did, which is just love people. People make it so complicated, and that's what frustrates me. It really is at the core, just loving others and being there for them.
Yeah. It's so clear in your work. I was preparing to meet with you today, and my babysitter, who's just like the best, I love her so much. I was just like, there's this woman who really goes to bat for everyone, and I get to sit down and talk to her. And it's just really like I have such like a warm heart knowing that you exist in the world, that you're teaching the rest of us through your channels how to advocate, not just for your own community, but for others. And I'll be specific. So, I found you through Jews of New York. They
Mm,
had picked up one of your videos, and you, as a beautiful Black woman, mother, actress, activist, really stood in your power and said, anti-Semitism is wrong, and
yeah.
we have to stand up for our Jewish brothers and sisters. And fortunately and unfortunately, that is rare for anyone.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter what race, honestly. People aren't interested in standing up for Jews online unless they're Jewish. And even then, it can be a little, it was so moving. It is so powerful. And then to learn more about you and to realize, like, oh, this is part of your faith. That Jewish people are just people. So of course
Yeah.
I'll go to bat for them.
Absolutely.
It is earth shaking, and I just wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, of course. Of course. And, it was very interesting and eye opening to me to realize how little support the Jewish community actually gets. And for me, like I've, grown up around Jewish people and white people and Asian people and just all kinds of people, right? So if
Yes.
anybody was hurting, like I would just show up for them because that's the heart that I had and how I was raised. But I didn't realize how much of a blind spot I had to how prevalent anti-Semitism is even today. And I think that that's one of the things that I'm really, when I do speak out for the Jewish community, that I want people to realize, like, hey, they need to be included. They're a marginalized group too. And I think people have this misconception of the Jewish community for the ones that are white passing, for example, that like they're benefiting from privilege. There's no issue there. They're fine. That's not one, the case at all, but two, even by saying that, you're excluding those Jews of color
Yes.
that are, that are dealing with this anti-Semitism as well.
And
So
racism.
and racism, right?
And
So it's
misogyny,
just all of it, right? It's
Yeah.
just, I mean,
Yeah.
just getting thrown at from all different angles. So me speaking out is not only trying to educate others, but also being humble in saying, like, I wasn't even aware of this. And I'm very much the person that once you know better, you have to do better because, like, why wouldn't you want to, right? So it was really heartbreaking for me to see that there really hasn't been any support for the Jewish community. And usually when some of my Jewish friends have spoken up, like they feel like people are just putting their fingers in their ears, like, we don't want to hear it. It's fine. You guys are
Yeah.
fine. What are you complaining about, right? So I hope that with all of the horrible things that have been happening, that, it's a shame. You don't want bad situations to happen for people to realize, like with George Floyd, for example. I think that was
That's right.
finally a light bulb for so many people to realize that the Black community has been saying this for such a long time. I mean, even since you go back to the 90s with Rodney King, like police brutality has been a thing. We've been talking about it, right? So unfortunately, and fortunately, as you said, I hope that with all of these situations that have been happening with anti-Semitism, that people are finally like, oh, this is an issue. Oh, my Jewish friends are scared.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
they are marginalized. They are, they do suffer at the hands from this anti-Semitism is serious. So I just hope to, continue to get more people to speak out. And, I'm not one of those people that has an issue being one of the only ones. It just makes me sad when I am.
Yeah. Do you think your perspective as a Black woman in America mm, makes you sort of understand this, sort of what it feels like, why it's important to speak up, your place in this world, almost like, it was divinely given, your voice?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do. I actually just literally had this conversation that I feel like most Black women just have this natural empathy and this maternal nurturing trait within us.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, and I have no problem, calling this out, when we look at a lot of the anti-Semitism that has been perpetrated and a lot of the rhetoric that's being spread and continued, specifically in support of someone whose name I won't mention, but it has been more from Black men. And I haven't seen it from Black women. And I've seen a lot of Black women
Oh.
start to stand up. And I think, being a woman, we deal with misogyny. And then, of course, being Black, we deal with our race. So we understand getting hate, getting, pushback, dealing with adversity in a way that some people just don't. And yeah, so I just think that we have this natural empathy to and care and this like protection of others. And we do it without being asked to do it. I've noticed, at least in my circles, a lot of the Black women that I am blessed to be around on a daily basis, they just will show up without being asked because they know it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I know, again, that's how my mom was, and that's how me and my sister are.
Wow.
And it's like, I can't even turn it off. Like, I can't help it. Like, my husband always tells me, he's like, you can't help but help people. Like, that's just a part of you. And it makes me sad when other people don't. And I don't get it. I'm like, well, I don't understand why nobody's saying anything, or I don't understand why nobody's speaking up. I can't help it. So yeah, I do think that's part of it for sure.
I'm just wondering, it's Black History Month, and we were supposed to meet last month, but but the fates would have it that here we are.
Yeah, I'm glad it's this month.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, how do you don't have to teach me, but if we do have this open dialogue around like what we can do to move the needle further and further and further in the direction of fairness and justice for the Black community, of goodness all around. If there are hopes that you have around, passing the mic, I think that's something that has been suggested, right?
Yeah.
Amplifying Black voices. But are there other ways that you're like, people aren't showing up enough, and I want to see more of this?
Yeah, no, I appreciate this question because there's a long list of things we can do
Oh,
and still
great.
need to do, right?
Yeah.
But a couple of things that I think are helpful, obviously, like you said, passing the mic, amplifying Black voices, supporting Black businesses, creators, artists, and that nature. But one of the things that really, and I just saw this on somebody else's reel a couple days ago, but I think it's how we teach in schools about Black history is really, really important, because that can shape your worldview in a different way, right? And it can also, again, teach more empathy and have a greater understanding. But I think that there's this fear in this country of teaching the truth.
Okay. Yeah.
And this mindset that teaching the truth is somehow telling, non-Black people that they're the problem or the enemy. And it's not that. I just believe that you can't really get to a place of progress if you don't know where you're coming from, right? So if we don't tell the truth about what happened in the past, we can never really fully correct it. It's always just kind of almost there, right? So education and how Black history is taught, or just the history of this country is taught, is super important, I think, to shaping how we connect with one another, how we understand another person's culture or way of being, language, all of that. And it does start at a school level, and it starts at a young level. And I do appreciate the attempts from a lot of progressive movements. I have my criticisms too on how we're doing things, but I do appreciate the attempts, because I think when you expose kids in a safe and admirable way to different walks of life, different cultures, you're just teaching them how to be better humans and to respect one another and honor somebody else. So for example, there's no Jewish history taught in schools, at least from my recollection, right?
In
Why
my
not teach
son's
that?
in my son's school, for whatever reason, I think the principal who started the school was Jewish, but in fifth grade they have a Holocaust curriculum, and this is a public school, which I'm really
Mm,
grateful for. And they do, and here's my big question about this: I don't want to make the Black kids feel bad. Or do they just already? It's so sad. Like, I think about my son learning about the Holocaust. Oh my God.
yeah.
The
But
day that
that's my
happens,
thing.
the day that
That's why
happens.
we
Oh,
have to
Jesus
be
Christ.
specific about what we teach. Jewish people are more than the Holocaust. Black
Oh,
people
right.
are more
Yeah.
than
I mean, that's for sure.
slavery. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Tell me
So
more. Yeah. Thank you.
we need to teach about the culture of the people, and yes, how it may have derived from a place of pain, certain things that came to be, but focus on this aspect of it, because
Right.
Black history is not slavery.
Thank
Slavery
you
is
so
actually a white
much.
history thing.
Oh my
If
God.
we're going to
Thank
be
you.
honest, right?
Yeah. I'm
So
sorry that I really, yeah. And I do sort of equate. Yeah. I thought that's what you meant. I'm sorry. Tell
no,
me
and that's fine.
more.
That's a common misconception. And like, I
Yeah.
think that that's the problem. You know, we need to, how we talk about history and how we talk about things is what shapes your worldview. So if you're only teaching that Black people were slaves and now they're not, that's what you're shaping a child's worldview about Black people in that sense, rather than teaching them these Black people contributed these inventions to the country, or they shaped the music industry in this way, or they, provided, any industry, what their contributions were. Like, let's focus on that stuff, because it is beyond slavery. It is beyond the civil rights movement. If you're only learning about Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King, and sometimes Frederick Douglass, that's all you're going to think that
That's all
Black
I
people have
learned.
contributed, right? All you are taught when it comes to Jewish Americans is about the Holocaust. Then you're
Yeah.
like, what? You know what I mean?
Also, it's just like too much. Like, well, I feel embarrassed that that is the first thing I think about with the two cultures, to be honest, when it comes to education and public schools. Like, and I can't be the only one, so I'm glad it was
For
voiced.
sure.
And it's yeah, there is so much more to learn. There is so much more to learn, but I guess we're just busy learning about white America.
Yeah.
We're really
Yes.
busy.
Yeah.
We're really busy with that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So on that very basic level, we need to start with our children and
Yeah.
education. We
Yeah.
think about this all the time, like when it comes to like respectful parenting or parenting peacefully. Like we have to know, just like you said, in your 20s and 30s, you have some realizations like, oh, mom missed the mark. And then, okay, we need to know that in order that so that we can make better decisions moving forward.
Yeah.
Collectively, that's the case too. So it's
Yeah.
not, when we talk about education, yes, we need a holistic view, and we need a holistic view. Which means the bad stuff too.
For sure.
If people keep hearing about the Jewish community or the Black community, about our traumas, they're gonna turn off their brains.
Yes. You
Children can
become
only
desensitized
handle,
to it.
yeah, they can only handle so much.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I really appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Of
Just,
course.
yeah.
Education,
Truth
education is
bomb.
just so important. We just have to be very particular about how we educate others, you know? And I'm not saying to not share the pain and the suffering. That's like the starting point, but that should be just like 1% of the situation. Then, okay, they went through this, but look how much they've thrived since. Look what they've overcome. Look what they've contributed to the country that didn't want them, that tried to push them away. And this is for both of our communities, because even when the Jewish people came over here from Nazi Germany, like
They were
they
turned
were
away.
excommunicated and again wanted to be pushed away too. You know, all of that. We need to learn how people have thrived and what they've done since the pain and the trauma.
Well,
That's
I
what's
mean, that's the
important.
hero's journey, right? I mean, what a beautiful way to teach children resilience, actually.
Yes. Yes.
Because we all do feel different, alienated, kind of, I think, weird when we're kids,
Yeah.
It's a beautiful education that no, in the public schools they're not really teaching.
Oh no. Oh no.
How would we even change that?
I
It's
mean,
one
my
school at a
sister
time.
is a teacher, but getting curriculum approved, especially in, certain states, especially when they're starting to ban more things, I don't know how it will happen or when it could happen, but I really I admire the teachers that do
Yeah.
try. I really,
Yeah.
really do admire those teachers, because it's brave. It is brave to take a risk and say, hey, I'm actually going to teach you this today, even though this is what the curriculum says I'm supposed to be teaching you.
And there's a test at the end of this that we have to make sure we can pass.
Yeah.
But even in the private schools, you said something so important. Like, just because we're teaching about Black history doesn't mean we're vilifying white people.
Yes.
We don't have to be so polarizing about this.
Correct.
That's what, white supremacy would have us believe, is that,
Yeah.
oh no, if we give voice to a whole community that's worthy of a voice, then it somehow makes us bad, makes us wrong, makes us, I don't know, embarrassed, shameful.
Yeah.
What if it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with you?
Exactly.
What if you're what if you
Exactly.
don't have to be centered at all?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Beautiful point.
Hmm.
You were telling me all the ways that we can support the Black community.
Yes.
So if there are other points, I wanted to give you that
No, for sure.
opportunity.
I know I kind of went on a tangent with education, but something I was
No, but so did I.
so
I'll tell you what, we
passionate
went on a
about.
tangent. We went on a tangent because I wrongfully was like, oh, we're only talking about slavery and the Holocaust, and that's not the case. It was a good tangent.
Yeah.
It's a good
Oh,
tangent.
thanks.
Yeah.
But
No, I
yeah, just as
appreciate
I
it.
was saying, just supporting Black creators and Black voices and uplifting. I think that's just the number one thing that we can do. And there's so many opportunities to do it. I know we can talk about the good and the bad of social media, but I actually think that that's such a positive because it's the easiest way to share another person's voice and another person's point of view and platform. So as much as you can, and not just this month, share other
No.
perspectives and thoughts and cultures and identities and viewpoints as often as you can. Help alter and shape other people's worldview, again, create that empathy within each other because it's so, so important. And be open. So many people are so afraid to be open to hear another person's experience for fear of probably how it might reflect on them, or maybe they've done something wrong in the past or whatever. But being open to hearing a person of color's perspective, sharing it, having a conversation, opening that dialogue, that to me is the best way that you can support the Black community at this time.
My sister yesterday was telling me like, "Oh, Danny, I love what you're doing online." She doesn't talk like that at all, but she sort of sounded like that in my head. I was like, "So why don't you like my stuff? Why don't you comment?" And I'm just thinking about how you're saying like share, and some people aren't sharers, right? Like, they won't like share on their stories, and that's okay. And maybe they feel shy to comment, and I don't know, maybe they don't want their name on a like. But if you save a post, you see, there are ways that you could support the creators that are putting out goodness into the world in ways that you don't even realize that are actually pretty supportive. Like,
Yeah.
hey, if there's someone with a Venmo handle that you're like, thank you for educating me, here's some money, or they have a
Yes.
Patreon, or and they're monetizing their work, please do, you know, meet their output
Yeah.
with
Those are
some
all
money.
great. Yeah.
But even just liking and commenting and sharing, as you said, and saving these posts, what it helps do is it helps push the message forward. So if you
Yeah.
believe in what someone's saying, if you're grateful for their voice, if you feel a call to, support them, there are really easy, free ways to do that without just
Absolutely
scrolling
free.
by.
Yes.
And I mean, there's just so free. It's like when you're able to like ingest their work, their goodness, their heart. Okay, so just do one click of the thumb. You don't need
Right.
to be, it doesn't need to be a public gesture. Even just the save on a post, it actually really can
It makes a
help.
difference. Yeah.
It really
Absolutely.
does make a
It
difference.
does. It does.
How do you feel about being a mom and an activist? How do the two identities sort of coexist for you?
I think that they coexist beautifully. And I say that because I don't want to raise a child in a world that I'm not trying to make the safest and best place for her. And so, even though this is who I was before her, I'm definitely like deep into it now that I have her because I I want to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to set her up for success in the world in the sense of being able to deal with any form of racial adversity that she might come across, or misogyny that she might come across, or anything with her identity that she may be dealing with later on in life. I want to make sure that one, she knows she's in a loving, welcoming, affirming household, no matter who she grows up to be, but also to be the person that my mom was to me, I want to be to my daughter. And I think it's, my version of, I guess, paying it forward, everything that my mom taught me and showed me. She was an example, and I want to be that for my daughter as well. So being an activist, advocating for other people, showing up for others, like those are some of the most important lessons that I'm going to teach her, because I want her to do that as well and understand why it's important to show up for other people and not expect anything in return. I think also going back to my faith, if we truly believe, like, and this could be a longer conversation about other things, but if people of my faith actually believe in heaven or hell, what do you honestly think is going to get you to heaven? You know what I mean? Is it judging people and not being there for them, not advocating for them, not listening to them? Or is it being the person that Jesus so clearly would be were he living in 2023, And that's loving them, advocating for them, and being there and providing them what they need in whatever moment they're in. It's showing up on the front lines. So I take that seriously, and being a mom, I take it even more seriously. So I just want to be an example for her, and hope that, you do the best that you can with your child. And my mom and my dad did a great job with me and my sister. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing that with her as well.
When you turn the camera on to yourself, like, are those moments, of your reels, are they like spontaneous, or do you write them out? You're so eloquent. And
Oh,
I'm just like,
thanks.
have you always been that way? What's your... Oh,
Honestly,
you
I
have. Okay.
have. I write down a couple of notes that I want to say just so I can remember. I don't know if do you have kids?
I have 2 kids. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So your memory
Oh,
goes. So
it's a puddle up there. It's a pink puddle.
people don't get it. I'm like, I will go into rooms and like, I have no idea why I walked into this room.
Yeah.
But when you become a mom, literally your memory goes to crap. So I have to write things down or I will forget. But for the most part, I am just speaking from my heart and just how I feel in the moment. But yeah, I feel like I've always just been a good speaker in that sense. And I definitely get that from my mom as well. She was an educator and speaker. So I get a lot of I owe a lot to her for sure. Now that my dad's like probably listening, like, hello. My dad was great, but I got my music side from my dad. That's what we shared. He was a musician and a singer. So
Really?
yeah.
Did you guys ever
Yeah.
sing together?
Wait, not really. Sometimes like growing up and stuff, but we had very different styles and things that we wanted to do, but we definitely share the love for music. And he's always been so supportive of my music career. Yeah.
It's amazing. You do a lot, don't you? I mean, I think you seem to have like a lot of energy. Um, but people always ask, and they asked me, one of the first episodes of this podcast was a solo, and one of the questions that came in is like, how do you do it all? And I snapped back and I was like, I don't do it all. Let it be known that doing it all is bullshit. We cut it.
Oh my gosh.
We cut that question and we cut that answer.
Hilarious.
It was a little too it was a little too much. But it is a real question. Like, how do you do what you do? How are you able to show up the way you are?
Oh, I know. People ask me this often, and I really don't know how to answer this question.
I mean, maybe some people just have more of a capacity. I don't know.
I do. And I think what is important to note, though, is that I also know my limit. So I do a lot. I thrive when I'm busy. I like being busy. I like having a full schedule. I like having to-do lists. I like checking them off. But I also know when I need to take a break. Like just this week, like I haven't really even posted on social media, and it's been refreshing. But yeah, it's knowing my limits too, knowing when I need to take a break. Self-care is really important to me. So that's how I am able to do all of the things that I do, is just knowing when to hit the pause button, knowing when to just take a bubble bath and read a book. Things like that are important. And I think that we're in the society that makes us feel like we have to be doing all the things all the time, and we have to, be like Beyonce and Oprah and never stop. But I'm sure they take a break. We just don't see it. And it's just important to remember that you do have enough time, and it's okay. Like, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you have enough time. There's no time limit on success, or there's no time limit on building, well, I should say building relationships, but you know what I mean. I know you know what I mean when I'm saying that.
You mean like networking, which is
Yes,
a
all of
real
that. Like,
thing. It's a real thing.
there's no time limit. It's okay. Like, if you don't want to go to that event tomorrow, go to something next week, or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. But I know that if I'm not in a healthy place, in a centered place, in a calm place, there's nowhere that I could show up that I would be okay if I'm not there. So I've had to learn that it's okay to say no, which took me a long time to realize, because you think you have to say yes to every opportunity, yes to everything. Or if I say no, this is going to be my last chance. Not true. And these are lies that we're fed, especially just being in the entertainment industry. You really get made to feel like if you're not 21 and like 100 pounds, like, you're not going to be successful and you're never going to make it. Right. And
Yeah,
that's
here
just
we are.
so false.
But here we are.
But here we are. But here we are. Yeah.
I think about that all the time, like with the weird Hollywood ideas. First of all, journeyman actors, like just artists.
Yeah.
We don't have to be like the most famous people in the world. We can just do our art one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's actually
not
less
for anyone
pressure
else, for
when
my
you're
own
controlling
self.
it. Yes.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that, the control bit.
Yeah. When you're controlling what you do, there's just, I don't know, for me, there's a sense of peace, because I really only have to be the only one that is happy. And that's what matters. And if I'm happy with it, then that's great. If I reach people, great. If other people love what I'm doing, great. But at the end of the day, if I'm able to, sleep well because I'm proud of what I did and I accomplished what I wanted to, that's what matters. And again, took me a long time to realize, because I thought I had to conform. I thought I had to do this, thought I had to do that. It's all lies, all lies. So once we learn that we can control our own fate, we can control our destiny, we can manifest things for ourselves and create our own careers and our own paths, you're a lot happier when you're not trying to please other people or, do what you think the next best thing is. Listen, and I'm sure you know this as a podcast host, you're going to find your audience no matter what. There are going to be people that latch onto you and what you do, and those are your people. And those are your people. Yeah. And that's who, whatever platform you have, you cater to in the sense of your content. That's who you direct your conversations to. And I've learned that with my music, with my activism, that the people that really get something from me, that's who I'm supposed to be reaching. The people who tell me, hey, you said something on your podcast, or you said something in one of your reels that I never thought of. Thank you. That's who I'm supposed to be reaching, right? And that's just the most important thing in the world to me. And it takes a lot. You get into your 30s. I'm not sure how old you are, but now that I'm in my 30s, like, how old are you?
I'm 38 years old.
Okay, yeah. So you're only a year older than me. I'm going to be 37 this year. But when you get into your 30s, you look back in your 20s, at least this was my experience, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wasted so much time like worrying about these things that essentially don't matter, right? But it's because we've been told that they matter.
Oh my gosh, like the 100-pound actor thing seems so important. And I couldn't even enjoy having such a fit body. Right. A healthy, fit body. I couldn't even really enjoy it.
Right. And now that we're moms and we've had kids, I feel like I saw this this meme, or it was like something like, I wish I didn't spend like my skinny years thinking that I was fat.
Yeah, I know. We had a dear old director of mine came on. I think it was like the second season of the show. Her name is Eleanor Risa. She's amazing. She wrote a beautiful book. Anyway, she's about, I don't know, she must be 60 something years old, maybe 70, no, in her 60s. And she was just like, oh God, I just wasted all this time thinking I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I was good enough. I look at pictures and I was pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel that way. I'm like, oh my God, I just like was so I hypnotized. I couldn't even see what was right in front of me. A beautiful, talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Now we know that we still are those things.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you know?
Yeah, in a different way.
And exactly in a different way. And I, obviously having a kid and your body changes, but like I love how I am now, and it is what it is, And I'm confident. I have clothes that fit me. I look good. Like that's what matters. But when I was 23, oh my God, like
it was
you
such
just
a
be
waste of
stressing
energy.
about it, eating a carrot and just doing all the dumbest things that you didn't need to do.
I think
and you're
those
beautiful
are,
as you are.
I think that's some crazy misogyny, patriarchal. That's just,
oh yeah.
I mean, that's a
girl.
great way to keep women in their place, is to like have them constantly counting calories.
Yes.
How do we tie up all of that brain power? How do we shut them up? Okay. Right? I mean, it takes so much energy to be at the gym all day, to be hungry. Yeah.
Man, yeah.
What does self-care look for you, look like for you these days?
Well, as I mentioned, taking baths is a huge thing in my household.
Love a bath. Love a bath.
Love a bath. Love a nap. And I try to tell my daughter, like, take your naps. Trust me, you're not going to get time to do them later. So if I'm able to take a nap, I will, because they are very, very special to me at this time. But really watching bad movies is self-care to me. And I know that sounds funny, but like I love a good, ridiculous Lifetime movie that is predictable and I know exactly what they're going to say. My
Lifetime?
husband and I
Really?
Oh yeah, girl. Lifetime and Hallmark.
Really? Is this like how some people watch like Real Housewives? And I'm like,
I guess it's kind of my reality show. I can't. I'm not a reality show person. I really can't get into that.
I really can't get into it. It really it feels like, why are they yelling? Like the yelling? I don't understand. People love it. I mean, God bless you. I'm sure there are lots of people listening that are just like, oh, I love it. I'm like, I don't. But also Lifetime. It's so interesting. I have a friend who's very excited about all those murder mysteries. Like she just will to veg out, to feel relaxed in her skin. She's
Isn't
watching
it crazy?
Like axe murderers. I mean, this happens. I think this is like the latent rage of women, is like they like watching these crazy things. But you don't seem to have that. You're just a little love bug with your Lifetime.
Yeah. I just enjoy it. I love the ridiculous scripts. I love the predictable lines. It feeds my soul.
I'm so glad.
I know it's so different for everybody, but everybody has their thing. But yeah, baths and just outdoors, going for walks and stuff, but watching just bad movies. I love it. I love it.
I'm so happy for you. You really do have... It's so funny because the way people talk about self-care is so silly to me. It's like with the masks and the gua sha and it's like, come on. Like,
well, what do you do for self-care?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do I do? I meditate.
Oh, that's good.
I love a good meditation.
Yeah.
I love therapy. I've been really rigorous about going on dates with my husband, which hasn't happened for a long time because we were like so in it with the kids.
For sure.
That feels like self-care when I advocate for that, when I like make a priority, when I take a night out. Yeah. Those things feel like self-care to me. But I ask because you really do have this very magnetic quality when you do show yourself on your channels, and this like really calming, soothing, even when you're like telling us what's up, you're like, even when you're giving it to us.
Yeah.
And it's fun to hear that it's bads in Lifetime. And purpose. I mean, really, it's also just purpose. You're living
For
your
sure.
life's
For
purpose.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Lifetime movies, they help.
Yeah, they totally have. And, you know, the other thing is like the remembrance that like we'll find you. And I did, you know, I really sought you out more than once. I was like, when are we going to do it? And blah, 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 blah,
Oh,
blah.
thank you.
Because the way you show up is in such integrity. And it's nice to hear that it's, self-motivated. It's not for anyone else. It's like, you know that you're doing what's right in the world and it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good
Absolutely.
knowing that too. And I'm really learning from you.
Oh,
So
thank you. That means a
thank
lot.
you for
That
your
means a lot.
work. Really.
Of course.
Well, did we cover all the ways, probably not all the ways, but some of the ways that we can continue to support each other? I'm dear friends with Chen Mazig, and he was on your podcast
Love
recently,
him.
and you guys talked about like Black and Jewish unity. And
Yes.
it went strong for so long.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so important. It's particularly in the United States.
Very much so. That's something I'm very passionate about. Really, again, goes back to that empathy. If there are any two groups that should be able to unite and understand each other, it is the Black community and the Jewish community. And I hate seeing any form of division. And oddly enough, a lot of the biracial people that I know are Black and Jewish.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm not
which is really
surprised.
beautiful. Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah. Oh, I'm not
surprised
surprised
because there
either.
was
I'm not
deep
surprised either.
love. There has been
Yes.
deep love and affection
Yes.
for so long.
Yes. Yes. And I just want to get back to that. So anything I can to continue to push that forward again, I'm going to do it because I think it's so important.
So am I. So am I. I am here for it, and I'm grateful for you. I feel so, you know, it's like you're like a sister, like an actor, singer, advocate, podcaster, sister on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
So whatever you ever need, you know, from me sitting here in Brooklyn, I'm here to amplify your voice, to share your message.
Thank you.
And to cheer you on. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Where can we find you if for those people who are listening that don't already know you?
Absolutely. You can go to my website, malyndahale.com, MALYNDAHALE. And then all of my socials are very simple, just at Malynda Hale. Very, very simple. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. But my website has everything as well. So please follow me and reach out because I love having conversations and meeting new people.
Yeah, and all that sharing and liking and commenting and blah, blah, blah. I know it sounds silly, but it makes a difference, actually.
It does. It does.
It means that more
Especially
people
with
get to
positive
hear.
messages, which is all I'm trying to spread.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Of course.
All right, friends, goodbye. Have a great day.